Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dayna from This Pixie Creates, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Serendipity Potholder. This is the 10th potholder in our Crochet-Along series. Can you believe it? This potholder is crocheted in one piece and is worked in the round to create a double thick potholder. It uses a single crochet and spike stitch to create this really pretty diagonal stripe pattern. You can find the free written pattern and everything you need to know linked in the description box below. Let's get started. Alright guys, so just a quick note, we are going to be using a 5mm crochet hook for this potholder pattern. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot, place it on our hook, and tighten it up. Now chain 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 28. Okay guys, now that we have our chain 28, we're going to start row 1. So we are going to go into the second chain from the hook. So this is our first chain, this is our second. So going underneath the top loop of our second chain, yarn over and draw up a loop. So we have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. That is a single crochet. And at this point, we are going to mark this first stitch with our stitch marker or a safety pin. This is really important because we are not going to be making any slip stitches. So by marking this stitch, you know where the round starts and ends. Otherwise, it's going to get really confusing. So going into the next chain, we're going to make a single crochet. And we're going to do this in each chain across. So if you guys notice, we're just going under the top loop of our chain when we're working into it. Okay guys, we are at the last chain of row 1. So into this chain, we are going to work 2 single crochets. So 1, 2. So now what we're going to do is rotate our work so that we're working along the bottom of the chain. So I'll take my... So we left that bottom of the chain unworked. So this loop right here, this loop right here, and so on. So we are going to work into every chain across except for that last chain that we worked 2 single crochets into. So this one here, we're going to skip over it and we're going to go into the next chain, going underneath the bottom of the chain. We're going to make a single crochet and we're going to repeat that all the way across, working 1 single crochet into the bottom of each chain. So this is what it's looking like so far. Take your time guys, because this is probably one of the hardest parts of the potholder, is just setting up that first round. Okay, we have 2 more chains left to work into. It's a little hard to see, but this one and this one. We know we're at the end of round 1 because we can see our stitch marker So we're going to remove it. And to start round 2, we're going to make our first stitch, which is going to be a single crochet into that stitched marked stitch. This is the first stitch of round 1. So going under both loops, we're going to make our first single crochet, and we are going to mark it with a stitch marker. So as you guys can see, we didn't make any slip stitches. We literally just continued from where we left off, working right directly into that first stitch of round 1 without doing a chain start or a slip stitch join. Into the next 2 stitches, we're going to work a single crochet. So in the first stitch, single crochet, into that second stitch, single crochet. So at this point, we've now made 3 single crochets for round 2. Into the next stitch, we're going to make a spike stitch. So to make a spike stitch, we are going to work underneath this single crochet. So instead of going through the front and back loops like normal, we're going to go underneath the stitch. So at the bottom of the stitch, kind of where that chain is, we're going to go insert our hook there. We're going to yarn over and draw up a loop just to the height of the row, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through both loops. That makes a spike stitch. Okay, now going into the next 5 stitches, we're going to make a single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now into the next stitch, we're going to make a spike. So just like before, guys, we're going to find the bottom of this stitch where that chain is. We're going to insert our hook there, yarn over, draw up a loop, draw it up to the height of the current row, yarn over, and pull through both loops. This is what round 2 is looking like so far. And this is going to be our pattern repeat. So we're going to do this another 7 times. So into the next 5 stitches, we're going to make a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then into the next stitch, we're going to make a spike. So going underneath the bottom of the stitch, make a spike, right? And that's our pattern repeat. So do that 6 more times. All right, now we're kind of rounding our corner here, and we are going to make a spike stitch into that next stitch. So going underneath it, if we can, just kind of put your hook in, make your spike. That's definitely the hardest part, is rounding the corner. Now again, guys, in the next 5 stitches, make a single crochet, and then we are going to make a spike stitch in the next stitch. The spike stitches on the bottom are going to be shifted 1 stitch to the left, and that's how you know that you're doing this right. So they shouldn't line up. The bottom ones should be slightly shifted over 1 stitch. So we're going to continue this pattern all the way down until we get to the last 3 stitches. Alright guys, we have 3 stitches remaining. We've just worked our last 5 single crochets. So in the next stitch, we are going to make a spike stitch, and we're going to finish the last 2 stitches by making a single crochet into each stitch. So if you guys noticed, we started the round by making 3 single crochets, and we ended the round by making 2 single crochets. If you add those together, that makes 5 single crochets between these 2 spike stitches. So this is what round 2 should look like. Alright guys, we are starting round 3. So we're going to remove our stitch marker. This marked the first stitch of round 2. And we are going to go directly into that stitch. And we're going to make our first single crochet of round 3. So mark it with your stitch marker. We're going to make a second single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so now we have 2 single crochets. And if you guys notice, there is a single crochet and a spike stitch from round 2. So our spike stitches from now on are going to be worked 1 stitch to the right of the spike stitch from the previous round. So what that means is this spike stitch is right here, so the next spike stitch should be worked 1 stitch to the right. So in this single crochet, we're going to work a spike stitch. Okay, so they're shifted slightly, and now we're going to work 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. So 3, 4, 5. So you'll notice, guys, we have a single crochet and a spike stitch. Remember that our spike stitch always falls 1 stitch to the right of the previous spike. So into the next single crochet, we're going to make a spike, and there we go. That's our pattern repeat. We're going to make a single crochet in the first 5 stitches. 3, 4, 5, followed by a spike in the next single crochet. So if you guys want, you don't even have to really count. You can just kind of go across, just working willy-nilly. And when you see, your spike, remember that it's the next spike is worked 1 stitch over. So work your spike. And you're going to continue on in this way all the way around until you reach the last 4 stitches. Okay guys, remember rounding that corner, it's always kind of tricky, but this is our spike, this is our single crochet before it, so we're going to work a spike under it and then continue on working around. Okay guys, there are 4 stitches remaining, so we've just worked our last 5 single crochets. So what we're going to do is we're going to work a spike stitch in the next stitch, and we're going to work 1 single crochet in the last 3 stitches. And that completes round 3. To start round 4, we're going to remove our stitch marker, and we're going to go directly into the first stitch from round 3, and we're going to make 1 single crochet. And you're going to mark it with your stitch marker. Okay, so we just worked into this stitch. Now we have 1 single crochet followed by a spike. So remember guys, we always want to make a spike stitch 1 stitch to the right of the previous spike stitch. So we're going to go into that single crochet and we're going to make a spike. Now we're going to do our pattern repeat, which is a single crochet in the first 5 stitches. Followed by a spike stitch in the next single crochet. And you know that you've done this right if your spike stitches are just shifted over 1 stitch to the right. So single crochet in the next 5 stitches. And then make a spike stitch. So I want you guys to repeat this all the way around until you get to the last 5 stitches, and I'll meet you back here. Alright guys, we have 5 stitches left to work into. So we've just finished our last 5 single crochets. So we're going to make a spike stitch into the next single crochet, and we're going to work a single crochet in the last 4 stitches. So this is what round 4 should look like. To start round 5, we're going to remove our stitch marker, and this time, if you guys notice, we have a single crochet and a spike, so we're going to work a spike stitch into that first single crochet, and we're going to mark this with our stitch marker. Now we're going to start our pattern repeat. So we're going to make a single crochet in the first 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to make a spike stitch in the next single crochet. Then continue single crochet in the next 5 stitches. Then spike in the next single crochet. Alright, so this is what round 5 is looking like. It might be time now, guys, where your work is kind of starting to curl upwards. So this is exactly what we want. We want this to be a little pouch and to eventually be a really long pouch. So continue to repeat this all the way around until we get to the last 6 stitches. Okay guys, we are at the last 6 stitches. So we've just worked our last 5 single crochets. So going into the next single crochet, we're going to make a spike, and we're going to end the round by making a single crochet in the last 5 stitches. So this is what round 5 should look like. For round 6, we are going to remove our stitch marker, and we're going to make a single crochet in the first stitch and remark that with our stitch marker. Now going into the next 4 single crochets, we're going to make a single crochet in each stitch. So we should have a total of 5 single crochets so far. Now going into the next single crochet, it's right beside that spike, so we are going to make our next spike stitch. And we're going to repeat this all the way around. So making a single crochet in 5 stitches, followed by a spike stitch in the next stitch. And this is what round 6 is starting to look like. Alright guys, we are at the end of round 6. We've just made our last 5 single crochets and we have 1 stitch remaining. So we are going to make a spike stitch into that last single crochet, and that ends round 6. To start round 7, we're going to remove our stitch marker, and we are going to make a single crochet in the first stitch and mark it with our stitch marker. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So we should have a total of 4 single crochets. And then into the next single crochet, we're going to make our spike stitch. So now from now on, all the way around, we're going to do our pattern repeat. We're going to make a single crochet in the first 5 stitches, followed by a spike stitch in the next stitch. Okay, so I want you guys to repeat that 7 more times until there are 2 stitches remaining. Okay guys, we're at the last 2 stitches of round 7. So we've just worked our last 5 single crochets. So we're going to make a spike in the next stitch, followed by a single crochet in the last stitch. So this is what round 7 should look like. And as you guys will see, it's starting to look like a pouch, and you can see the spike stitch diagonals take shape. Alright guys, so we are at the end of round 32. So it's now time to seam our potholder closed, but we have to talk about a few things before we do that. So in the meantime, we are just going to pull up on the loop on our hook, kind of keep pulling to make, a long loop. This way our work won't unravel in the meantime. Okay, so remove your hook, set it aside for right now. This is the back side of our potholder. We finished here. This is the last stitch of the round, but really it should be over here, right? And you're probably wondering, like, why is it all the way over here when it's supposed to be right along this edge? Well, that happens because as we're crocheting this potholder, we don't turn our work at the end of each round. So what happens is our seam kind of shifts to the right every time we finish a round. So our end stitch is now right here instead of over here. So we're going to fix that. So to do that, we're going to flip our potholder over so that we're looking at the front. Okay, and I also want you to remove your stitch marker that was in that first stitch of the round. Now with your stitch marker, I want you to mark the first stitch in the top right corner of the front side. So mine is this one right here. So this stitch is what I see on the front of my potholder. So mark it with your stitch marker, okay? And now we're gonna go back to the back side, and basically what we're going to do is we're gonna take our loop, put it back on our hook, tighten it up, and we are going to slip stitch across until we get to our stitch marker. So for me, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, but for you, it might be less, it might be a little bit more. Okay, so going into, the first stitch of the round, we're going to insert our hook under the front and the back loops, and we're going to yarn over, pull through the stitch and the loop on our hook. That makes a slip stitch. So I want you guys to repeat that all the way across. So one more time, going into the next stitch under both loops, yarn over, pull through the stitch and the loop on our hook. Right? Going into the next stitch, make a slip stitch. And in the next stitch, make a slip stitch, and we're going to keep going until we reach our stitch marker. So when we reach our stitch marker, I'm going to make a slip stitch into that stitch. Now, we have officially gotten to the edge of the front side of our potholder, which is perfect because now we can seam this potholder closed all the way across, and it's going to be straight. Okay, so to do this, we're going to insert our hook back into the first stitch, and we're going to find the matching stitch at the back. So just try your best to line up your stitches. Go underneath that stitch under the front and back loops. And we're going to yarn over, go underneath both stitches, pull your yarn through and through the loop on your hook. And that makes a slip stitch and joins the front and the back stitch together. Now going into the next stitch, on the front side, we're going to go under both loops and we're going to find the matching stitch at the back. We're going to go under both loops, yarn over, pull through both stitches, and the loop on your hook. Again, go under both loops of the front stitch, go under both loops of the back stitch, yarn over, pull through both stitches and the loop on your hook. And we're going to repeat this all the way across, making a slip stitch into the front and back matching stitches. Alright guys, we're almost there. We have 2 more stitches to work into, okay? And we're at the last 2 matching stitches, so go under both the front and back stitch and make your slip stitch. So this is what our seamed top should look like. As you guys can see, it's nice and straight. And at this point, we are going to make our chain circle. So we are going to chain 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to find our first chain that we made. So this one right here, and we're going to kind of tilt it so that we are looking at it on its side. Do you guys see this loop and this back one right here? We're going to go underneath this first loop and the back loop there. We're going to yarn over, pull through both loops and the loop on your hook to close that circle. Now with your yarn, you're going to pull up on the loop on your hook and keep pulling to make a nice long tail. Then trim it when it's the right size for you. Thread the needle with your tail, and we're going to weave our end through a few stitches and through the center of our pot holder. Okay, what that does is it closes up that chain circle really well. You can make a knot if you would like to. Right, and then continue to weave it through a few stitches, and then when you're ready, trim your tail and your pot holder is complete. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. I will be back next month for November's pot holder, which will be our second last pot holder. I can't believe we're already at pot holder number 10. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.